Hello and welcome, my name is Hoshiko, and today's cinematography video is all about a very common lighting setup that is reasonably easy once you understand it, gets good results, and is not nearly as delicious as it sounds. The lighting sandwich. What I love about this technique is that it can make almost any shot look good, and it's an easy mindset to be in that can either turn that more simpler or boring shot into something that is a bit more dynamic in terms of its visual presentation, or if you need it, it can just help with technical exposure. It's a very flexible technique. The base principle is that you have two light sources on either side of the subject, and frequently those are equidistant from the subject. And those create the bread of the sandwich, with the left side and the right side being light, and the center being darker, the meat and cheese of the sandwich, if you will. And thus that creates a light, dark, light pattern across your subject. This is a relatively simple setup that can be used in a variety of ways and for a variety of emotions, and also achieved in a variety of ways. It can be used on a small scale for something just like a face, or it can be used on a larger scale for a full body wide shot, and both will still look great. This technique is more about the final look, in my opinion, rather than the technique of the equipment usage. So you might have seen a visual version of this happen where there's a key light on one side of the person and a hair light that casts onto the cheek, and it still creates that light, dark, light pattern, which to me, I still count as a lighting sandwich. So, well, you might be asking, how do we do it? Well, it's as simple as it sounds. Take one light source and put on the left side, and take another light source and put on the right side, and have them be relatively equidistant from each other. And literally, that's all you have to do at the base level. And you instantly get a more dynamic and more shaped image than if you just had lighting coming from a singular side. That being said, there are two main ways to do this setup. Have two lamps, one on either side, or have one lamp on one side and a reflector or bounce on the other side. Generally, the former will give you a more distinct lighting sandwich effect, and the other will give you a lower exposure on the non-lamp side because that light's being bounced back. Really, if you want to do the second option, the most basic way to do it is to lift a beadboard bounce opposite of the lamp, and that's it. No glitz and glam. If your lights have barn doors or Fresnel lenses, you will have even more control over how the light falls on the subject. But truly, the only thing you need to make this effect is to have two light sources. And that makes it a really friendly option for both micro-budget and no-budget filmmakers. And that's not even to mention the flexibility that you can get when you consider all of the options for lighting angles and source placements as well. Now you might be saying, wow, I can do this with almost every shot. And yes, that's probably true, but the limitation is where it fits in with the style and story of the film you're creating. If you just need a little more exposure on the opposite side of the face to make it not blend in with the background, it can work and help with that, definitely. Like, that is a very viable option, and it shapes the light just a little bit more. But that's more of a technical reason to deploy this method. Where it's more fun is when you deploy it for story reasons. I really wish I could have a still from the movie In the Mouth of Madness here to show you, but instead I'll just have to tell you the timestamp of 22 minutes and 37 seconds because of copyright restrictions. This is a great example of a version of this technique in use, and the shot that inspired me to make this video. It uses the hair light to illuminate the side of Sam Neill's face, while the key is motivated by a lamp in the room. In this scene, the main character is reading a very dark horror novel and entering into the dark fantasies of the story. The lighting here uses the light sandwich to expose the left and right side of the face, but leaves the center where his eyes, mouth, and nose are in a streak of darkness. It almost feels like the dark content of the book has projected itself right onto the character's mind, or sucked the light right out of his soul. If you're going to use this technique, try to find a way to incorporate it into your story, or at least into your scene's environment. If there's a technical reason to do it just for your exposure, that's great. It's an easy technique to do, and it can help you with your lighting, but our goal is to shape the story with it. And I always caution people that if you do things to make your shots look more dynamic or more designed too many times in a row without enough motivation, then things are going to start to feel hollow throughout. And other times you're simply going to take your audience out of the moment because the lighting might not be reasonable and might be too unmotivated for what you've established in terms of feelings and the film's world. This technique is really great for creating contrast. So for example, it might not be as useful for a higher key scene, But once you have these base ideas down, then the real fun starts, because you can use this setup with a few modifications to advance the flexibility and storytelling opportunities in your film. That is why I love simple concepts like this. And as a bonus, a cool dark variation is to do the reverse of the regular sandwich. Have the light coming top down or casting straight down the middle on the subject, and then use flags as negative fill on either side of them. The subject here is then cast into darkness, and the sandwich is dark, light, dark. You know, like if you put meat on the outside of your bread. And further control here can be gained with the use of barn doors and harder sources to really push the contrast and control the direction of the light. This variation is actually pretty similar to an idea that I talked about in my John Singer Sargent Mary Anthony painting lighting diagram video. If you want to watch that, I have a link down below. What I'm going to show you now is the technique in use with not only various setups, but also various strengths. The caveat to my shots here is that I only own one set of barn doors for these lamps. So all but the negative fill sandwich are just the hoods, which have a lot wider of a beam angle. For more control, barn doors make dialing in exactly what you want so much easier for the sandwich technique. However, the principles are all the same. Let me know if you have any questions about creating the light sandwich. You can leave those in the comments down below. Now, my creative prompt for this week is if you are watching a television show or a movie and see this technique in use, I'd love not only for you to notice it, but also for you to share the title down below. You'll see that almost everyone uses this in one way or another because of its amazing flexibility. If you like lighting technique videos like this one, please give the video a like to help me with the YouTube algorithm and help me reach new audiences who are just as interested in lighting techniques as you and me. And you can subscribe for upcoming weekly videos about tools and techniques for cinematography, lighting, and micro-budget filmmaking. You can find me at patreon.com/TrentonHoshiko, where I'm trying to grow with tiers starting at just $2. And if you're interested in any of the tools required to pull off this technique, I have affiliate links down in the video's description. Both of these are great ways to support this channel and these videos. I am also on all sorts of social media websites from Mastodon and Blue Sky to Hey.cafe and Twitter, and those are all linked in the video description so you can find me where I hang out when I'm not on YouTube. Stay safe out there, wear a mask to protect yourself and your community from illness, make great art with your unique fingerprints all over it. And as always, have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.